we'll get started. Today's topic, based on this past Sunday night's introduction.
Do you have the chicken?
I don't have the chicken.
Oh.
I already cooked it in the mother's milk. Okay? Being that it's all plastic, it was perfectly allowed. Okay, so the topic is a chicken in its mother's milk. And let's get to the very, very source of this whole halacha, this whole law of milk and meat. And we'll see what is the reason, what is the law when it comes to chicken and milk, and what are the understandings that we have in that. But let's build our way up there gradually. Let's start with the very beginning. You have a question already, Rav Shlomo.
But a chicken doesn't produce milk the way...
That is the very crux of what we're talking about here. That's why we're here today. Yes, yes.
To fool everybody.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, that sounded too obvious, but...
Well, that's what we're discussing. That's the whole point. Okay. So the pasuk begins. The first mention of this in the Torah is in Shemot, in Exodus. Interestingly enough, it's in the parsha of Mishpatim. Mishpatim goes through a whole host of all these different laws. And the final law that it contains before we revert back to the story of Sinai is Lo Tevashel Gedi B'Chalev Imo, which is interesting, and we will touch upon that. And what it says is you should not cook a gedi in the milk of its mother. Okay? Now, we often misinterpret this, as does the English here, to mean a kid. Well, if a kid means a baby animal, we're good. If a kid means specifically a baby goat, then that is a misinterpretation of the word. As we see in the Rashi, actually, now this pasuk is written in 3 different places, and we'll see what we learn out from there, and we'll see the difference between those 3 times, and Alan telling his kids, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. Okay, so let's see the very first Rashi. Lo tevashel gedi. Don't cook a gedi. What is a gedi? Rashi, we have it both in Hebrew and in English. Right on top in Hebrew, and right beneath it we have it in English. Af egel v'keves, also a baby calf, and also a lamb, are bichlal gedi, are all within the category of what a gedi means. A gedi means the child of kosher animal, or a kosher domesticated animal. She'ein gedi el lashon valad rach. Gedi is a term for the way we would use kid, a child, a soft, gentle child. How do we know this, Rashi says? Well, you've got to look elsewhere in the Torah. Right? This is something that comes up often. Right? We don't look at modern Hebrew. We don't look at the English translation. We look at the Torah to other times that it's written, and let's see how it writes things. We find in many places in the Torah, shekatuv gedi. If it says gedi, and it means specifically a baby goat, the Torah writes gedi izim. Kigon, for example, in the case of Yehuda and Tamar, Judah and Tamar story, Anochi ashalach gedi izim. I will send baby goat. Or et gedi ha'izim, shnei gedayei izim. Whenever the Torah is referring specifically to a baby goat, the Torah refers to a baby goat as gedi izim, right? A baby goat. A gedi means a baby of a domesticated animal. Lulamedcha, which teaches us, shekol makom shenemar gedi stam. Wherever it says gedi and doesn't specify what type of gedi it is, Af egel v'keves b'mashma. So that includes also an egel, and also it includes a keves, a calf, baby sheep. It means a child domesticated animal.
Is there a difference? Is there a difference in Hebrew between a baby goat and a baby calf?
In modern Hebrew?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's not the issue. The Torah is not speaking modern Hebrew, the Torah is speaking biblical Hebrew. So I'm not going to bring proof from modern Hebrew, I'm bring a proof from the Torah.
Okay, so why would we even have to explain it that way if the modern if the Torah Hebrew means Gedi is a baby, what is the other argument? Why would somebody argue that it just means a baby goat?
I don't know. Rashi says that's incorrect. Rashi says that's incorrect based on the Torah's wording. Right? Now, yes, in modern Hebrew we normally mean, right, Gedi would mean a baby goat, and an egel, right, is a baby calf, right?
So when we sing Haggadah, do we sing a baby goat, or are we singing any baby?
It depends if that's biblical Hebrew or Aramaic Hebrew or later on Hebrew.
I thought it was Yiddish.
Right? But it's not But it's not limited. It's not limited to a baby goat. Uvegimel makomot nichtav b'Torah. And in 3 places it's written in the Torah. Why? Echad, one tells us that you're not allowed to eat it. The echad li'isur hana. The other one tells you you can't get any benefit. The echad li'isur bishul. The other one tells us the isur of bishul, of cooking. Okay. Now, let's go to the next 2 Rashis, and then we'll double back to that. Alan's starting to wet his lips. Now, just an interesting point I wanted to add. The Rav Hirsch says a very beautiful. Rav Hirsch always gets to the very core of something in Hebrew, and Gada means to cut. See, right? Gada means to cut, to sever. See, he says that a baby animal that is born, that is referred to as a gedi. Why? Because it is severed from the mother. It was literally a part of the mother, and it was severed from the mother. He points out that baby fowl are called gozalot. That's the term that we use for baby fowl. Why gozalot? What's the root of the word gozalot? Gezel. What's gezel? Stolen. Right? Meaning if you were to take the eggs, it's not that you are severing something, because that living being was never a part of the mother. It wasn't born from the mother as a living being. It was an egg that was born from the mother, laid by the mother. Right? But the mother has the greatest claim to it. So if you were to take it, what are you doing?
Stealing.
Gezel. Gozalot. On the deeper level, Rav Hirsch explains, even though ultimately all of our kashrut laws, all of the kosher laws, are a chok, meaning that we don't understand the reason why. Now, we do understand the reason why in a general sense, but not in a particular sense. Meaning, we're all about you are what you eat. Eat healthy, you are what you eat. Well, you are what you eat in a physical sense. You are also what you eat in a spiritual sense. Why the Torah says this is harmful spiritually, this is not? Well, we could see to a degree that it's the domesticated animals that are kosher. It is the warring, tearing apart carnivorous animals that are not kosher. So too amongst the birds, right? Those that are and those that aren't. Okay, but ultimately, it's what the Torah says. By basar v'chalav, Rav Hirsch gives a very, very fascinating explanation. And I said it before, I'll just say it briefly now. What is the goal of any plant? To grow, nourishment, and reproduction. That is the goal of any plant. Attain nourishment, reproduce. What is the goal of an animal?
Same.
Same. nourishment, and reproduce. So basically what an animal became is a mobile, sophisticated plant. Right? That's what its goal is. Nourishment and reproduction. Along comes mankind. And we are told, and Rav Hirsch explains, that's why this is the end of all of the mishpatim. This is the close of all the mishpatim, because this is the lesson that we need to learn from all of the mishpatim. The mishpatim are the somewhat mundane, day-to-day laws, not these spiritual escapades, but dealing with the day-to-day. Human beings, we can't, so an animal takes its added ability and uses that to become a sophisticated plant. What is the added ability of an animal? Mobility.
Mobility and sound.
Okay, right? But we would say mostly mobility.
Mobility, okay.
Right? What represents mobility? What allows us to move?
A leg, arm,
Muscles.
muscles, okay.
It's muscle. It's basar. That's what enables us to move. Every time we move, muscles are contracting or expanding, and that's every movement that we make, our mouth, tongue, hand, everything is based on muscles contraction, basar. Animals use their added capability of mobility to become a sophisticated plant. Many people utilize their added ability as a human being of thought, of planning, right, to become a sophisticated plant. And they use all of their abilities for nourishment and reproduction. The Torah is telling us you cannot mix the two. Do not become a sophisticated plant. So if Hirsch says mobility is best represented, as we said, by muscle, by basar. What single item would best represent nutrition and reproduction?
Eggs.
He says milk. Milk is the nourishment that's given immediately upon the fulfillment of reproduction. So milk represents the base, the basics, reproduction, nutrition. Animals take their added ability, their basar, and what do they use it for? Chalav. We are commanded to separate the basar and the chalav. That is how Rav Hirsch explains in a general sense the idea of basar b'chalav. Let's continue in the next two Rashis, because the Torah says the same exact thing. We quote in Shemot 23:19, also Shemot 34:26. There Rashi says, B'chalev imo, Alan, for you, prat la'of, comes to exclude fowl. She'ein lo chalav, because birds don't have milk. She'ein isuro min haTorah, ela midivrei sofrim. So the isur, the prohibition of fowl and milk, is not a Torah prohibition, rather it is a rabbinic, an enactment of the Sofrim. Next Rashi, the third place is written in Devarim 14:21. Lo tebashel gedi shalosh pa'amim prat lechaya ula'ofot v'lebehema tmeya. Okay, so this comes to exclude min haTorah, right? This comes to exclude chaya, a wild beast, meaning even a deer, right? That even those kosher animals that are in the category of a chaya, a beast, as opposed to a behema, that is only rabbinic. Ofot, birds, and a behema tmeya, a non-kosher animal. If one eats a non-kosher animal cooked with milk, then one has transgressed the prohibition against eating a non-kosher animal. But one will not have transgressed The prohibition of basar b'chalav, of milk and meat, because that's only a kosher animal with kosher milk. What makes milk kosher?
Kosher animal.
Comes from a kosher animal. Now, as someone pointed out, if the Torah says something 3 times, well, when I say something 3 times, what do I mean? I mean that you shouldn't do it. You really shouldn't do it. You really, really shouldn't do it. But we don't start making all of these extensions. Okay, so 2 points to keep in mind. First of all, the Torah writes these added prohibitions. How are you? Good to see you. The Torah writes the added prohibitions in terms of don't cook to tell me that the prohibition against eating is if it was, the prohibition min ha-Torah of eating is if it was cooked together. But it would not be a Torah prohibition, it would be a rabbinic but not a Torah prohibition for me to wash down a kosher burger with a kosher milkshake. That would not be, there would be a rabbinic prohibition, very clear. I'm not saying it's allowed. That would be a rabbinic prohibition, but not a Torah prohibition. How do we know that? Because it writes this prohibition against eating under the guise of don't cook it. The third time teaches me you cannot derive benefit from it. Right? And just going back for a second, that's why for Torah observant people who go into culinary school, if it's not in Israel or kosher culinary school, you have problems. Because a main thing there is cooking is adding milk into soups. It seems that it makes it thicker, creamier, right? And not only are they not allowed to eat it, they're not allowed to cook it. Right? Those are issues they run into. The prohibition against getting hana, against getting benefit. That too. The Torah prohibition of getting benefit is when they were cooked together. So the reason it says 3 times, don't cook, don't cook, don't cook. And what it means is don't cook, and don't eat, and don't get hana, don't get benefit. Actually what it means is don't cook, don't eat that which was cooked, and don't derive benefit from that which was cooked. Now, we don't talk that way, granted, right? How did you put it, Alan? If you tell your kids?
If I tell Roni, don't do that, I mean, don't do that.
Right?
Don't do that.
Right? It doesn't mean don't wait 6 hours and then do it, right? Right? So
why wouldn't Hashem in one of the pasuk say don't cook, the other pasuk says don't eat, third pasuk says don't derive benefit?
Because had it said don't eat, that would have implied don't eat. It's a Torah prohibition to eat together.
Okay, but you could have said don't eat after you cooked it.
Whether or not it was cooked. So this is an important thing to keep in mind. As part of the morning davening, we start with Rabbi Yisroel Omer. B'shlosh hamidot haTorah nidreshet behem. There are different means through which the Torah is expounded. Now, when you look at a map, if you want to understand a map, what must you look at to understand the map? Before you look at the map, what?
The legend.
The legend of the map. What does that tell you? That tells you what these different things mean. Meaning, when the map maker made his map, if he's shading it this color, it means this. If he has this type of road, it means that. This is the scale, this is the distance, this is the terrain, this is the climate, whatever it is that he is meaning to convey to you, he does that by means of the legend. Now, I could look at a map, ignore the legend, and say, either my interpretation of this is this. And it might be a very, very beautiful, moving, uplifting, inspiring interpretation of the map. But it's not what the map maker was conveying with this map. It's just that which makes sense to me. So if I ignore the legend, my understanding will be my understanding, but not the intent of the map maker. The Torah Shabbal Peh, the oral law, is, and the 13 ways, there are actually more than 13, Rabbi Yisroel lists 13, are the ways that God passed over to Moshe down to us as the legend of the map. So yes, we don't talk in a manner of don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and it means this, this, or that. But the way we expound the Torah is that if there's something that is repeated, then there's got to be a reason why it's repeated. Why was it repeated in that way? We explained. To tell you the Isser, the prohibition of eating, Torah prohibition, if it's cooked. The Torah prohibition of getting benefit, if it was cooked. But that is how the Torah is conveyed to us. Let us go to the Mishnah in Chulin. Kol ha-basar, that's the bottom of the first page of our sources. Kol ha-basar asur levashel b'chalav. All basar, all meat, is prohibited from cooking with chalav. What are the exceptions? Chutz mi basar dagim. The meat or the flesh of fish can be cooked. Tuna casserole, right? Not a problem at all. V'chagavim. Chagavim are locusts. Okay. So, locusts, certain grasshoppers, are kosher. We don't have the tradition on which ones are kosher, and therefore we don't eat any of them. I think in our society, it is so distasteful that even if someone could prove to me this is kosher, I think I would pass, right? But in fact, eating any one animal, I remember when there was the Olympics, I think it was in Seoul. So, it's disgusting they sell dogs there. How could they sell dog meat there? People eat dog meat. Well, why is dog meat, here in the United States, dogs are our pets, so you don't want to eat them. But really, inherently, there's nothing any more disgusting of any meat than any other meat. Except we have our laws of kashrut, so this is considered to be kosher. That's not considered to be kosher. The Yemenites have the tradition of which locusts, which grasshoppers are kosher, and I don't know if they still do, but they would be allowed to eat. We who have a broken tradition, so then we would not continue that. Yes, Dov?
I'm thinking that in Egypt, they probably worship them, so Hashem said eat them.
Okay. V'asur la'aloto im hagvina al hashulchan. And so all basar is asur. The Gemara is going to explain all basar is asur. Some of it is prohibited based on Torah law. Others are prohibited based on rabbinic law. As we just saw, animals, domesticated animals, Torah law. Beasts and fowl, that is rabbinic law. Yes, Janet?
You just answered it.
Okay. Not only that, the Mishnah says, don't put it up on the same table together with gvina, with cheese. How do we deal with that? How do we implement this halacha of the Mishnah? Let's say one person's eating meat, another person having dairy on the same table. What do?
Might put a different tablecloth.
Different tablecloth, placemat,
Yeah.
right? We don't eat simultaneously on the same table, right? If one person has a placemat, then that's a personalized tablecloth. Chutz mi basar dagim v'chagavim. Besides, of course, that of dagim and chagavim, that of the fish and the locusts. Now, here, we'll double back to this at the end. Hanoder min basar. If a person takes an oath, all basar, all meat, all basar is prohibited to me. Mutar b'basar dagim v'chagavim. The person's allowed to eat fish, allowed to eat the chagavim, right? But not basar, not chaya, not a beast, nor that of an oaf, of a bird. Ha'of ola im hagvina lo shulchan ve'eino nechal divrei Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai says you can have chicken and cheese together on the same table as long as it's not eaten together. That's Beit Shammai's opinion. Beis Hillel says lo ola v'lo nechal. It should not go up and it should not be eaten. Rabbi Yossi says this is one of the rare cases where Beit Shammai is more lenient and Beit Hillel is more strict. Be'eza Shulchan Amru, when do we say there is this prohibition? The Shulchan Shochela, which again, we circumvent that by having it a different table. How do we make it a different table? With a different tablecloth, we have that as a heker, as a reminder. That's the table that one is eating upon. But a table where you arrange the food, the countertops, there, no time zeh b'tzad zeh. You could have the meat, and you could have the chicken and the cheese next to one another, and that's not going to be an issue. Okay. Here's the Mishnah, the next Mishnah, and this is Alan's hero. First, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Chaya va'of, Eina min haTorah. Rabbi Akiva says, as we've been saying, Chaya, a beast, its meat, deer, venison, va'of, right? Deer is a kosher animal, right? They're not raised that much, so it's rather expensive.
And giraffe.
And giraffe, but it's a kosher animal, right? But giraffe isn't eaten. Deer is eaten. Va'of and fowl, einam min haTorah. The prohibition is not a Torah prohibition. Shenemar, as it says, lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. Don't cook a baby animal in the milk of its mother. Oh, just one thing Rav Hirsch pointed out very beautifully. Why does it say the milk of its mother, when in fact it's any milk? So he says, as we saw, the only prohibition is a kosher animal cooked with kosher milk. So what is the most concise way that the Torah could let us know that this gedi, which is a kosher animal, what's the most concise way that the Torah can let us know that this gedi, this kosher animal, the Torah prohibition is for it to be cooked only in the milk of a kosher animal? If we would say behema, right? Well, not all behemot. Well, behema can often include chaya, can often include also the beast. So by saying bechalev imo, of its mother, that is how the Torah has very elegantly and very succinctly narrowed it down to the milk from another kosher animal, as opposed to a milk from a kosher beast or the milk from a non-kosher animal.
Wouldn't it be just as succinct to say b'chalev kasher?
That would not be grammatically correct.
Why?
Right? B'chalev behema k'sheira. Perhaps you could say.
Why?
In the milk of a kosher?
In a kosher milk.
No, it doesn't translate well. It's milk of the kosher, right? It sounds weird.
Yeah, that
It's
would
milk
not
of the
be
kosher
grammatically.
animal,
And like I said before, right? And it's not true because a deer is kosher, but cooking in the milk of a deer would not be a Torah prohibition. So by gedi, meaning a kosher domesticated animal, by saying, as opposed to a beast, so a deer, so by saying in the milk of its mother, you have most succinctly and elegantly limited it exactly to the category that it applies to.
It does change the meaning, right? I mean,
I'm sorry?
It does change the meaning as well, right? If you take it very literally, it could be a don't cook baby calf, and
Okay,
it's
good.
in that types of milk.
Good. So, yes. So it was clear to the Gemara, right? It was clear that the Torah Shabbat Peh is clear from the start. There's no one. We'll soon see Alan's hero, Rabbi Yossi Aglili. But there's no one that says the prohibition is just against its mother's milk. Similar to the way the Torah voices many, many laws. Don't place a stumbling block in front of a blind man. With iver lo titain michshol. Am I allowed? So would anyone say, "Oh, in front of a blind person, thou shalt not place a stumbling block"? But you can see perfectly fine for me to cause you to stumble and trip. That's perfectly legitimate. Of course not. So why does the Torah say a blind person? Because the normal tendency, temptation, twisted temptation that a person might have is, oh, I could trip up this person, he'll never know. Right? It says, lo tekalel cheresh, don't curse out a deaf person. Oh, and a hearing person you can curse out? Right? Obviously, this is a person who is susceptible. Right? Right? Be kind. Right? Don't take advantage of the widow and the orphan. Yes, take advantage of non-widows and parented individuals. But these are the people that are susceptible. The Torah addresses the normal situations. But no one thinks to say, oh, you only can't curse a deaf person, you only can't trip up a blind person, and you only have to be kind and not cheat a widow and an orphan. So Chalev Imo was a normal practice that was done. The Rashbam actually says that normally they were two born to each litter, and they would cook one and keep the other, and they would cook it in the mother's milk. Right? That was a common practice. Right? In other words, very often, where am I getting my milk from? My cow. Where am I getting my calves from? My cow. If I'm going to cook my calf in milk, whose milk am I cooking it in? The source of my milk. So that there is no one, right, that says that it's limited to that. And actually, Rav Hirsch says an interesting thing. He said, well, one might make the argument. And let me step back a second. Right? It's very clear in society today, the worldwide society, I would say worldwide society today, a person marrying their sister, a man marrying a sister, sisters and brothers getting married, parent and child getting married, right? We find that somewhat disgusting, right? Why is that? Simply because the Torah says that is an abomination. Without the Torah, an argument could be made to engage in such an intimate activity with a stranger? With anyone but a close relative? That's disgusting. Right? The argument could have been made, but we are instilled with this understanding that, no, that is taboo, and we have to leave our family, and we go out and we marry someone else. Where's it going with this a second ago?
Don't.
I step back.
Rav Hirsch was saying.
Oh, thank you. So Rav Hirsch was saying, thank you. So Rav Hirsch says that when it comes to this, the Torah is saying even in its mother's milk, meaning these two were one entity. These two were one entity. And therefore, I could have made the argument, this would be allowed. This came from that. It's all right. When I shecht an animal, right? I shecht and I eat all parts of the animal. And the milk from the animal, this is a part of the animal. So I might have thought that this would be allowed. This is all one entity. You know, there are halachot, when you shecht an animal, what do you do with the udder? Right? There's milk in the udder. Right? You know, how is one allowed to kasher that and be allowed to eat that? There's milk in there. Yes, but that's part of the animal. So that's not going to be fully considered to be milk. So he said, I could have made the argument that in the mother's milk, yeah, that's allowed. Elsewhere, not. The Torah comes to say, no, even in the mother's milk. But either way, across the board, that's not allowed. Let's come to
Rabbi,
yes.
The analogy that you made with marrying your sister or your relative is the opposite of what you're trying to prove here. Because in that case, you're not allowed to marry your sister, but you are allowed to marry a stranger. Similarly, in this, you can make an argument. You're not allowed to cook in the milk of its mother, but you can cook in the milk of...
So again, what he's saying is, the argument would have been made, like in our society, we say, oh, in the mother's milk, that's disgusting, but other milk, that would be allowed. He says the argument's going the other way around. That's what I was saying. Right? Our society looks at it and saying, in the mother's milk, that's real cruelty. But another mother, right, in another mother's milk, not so bad. So that's why Nim could ask, well, maybe it's just in the mother's milk and elsewhere. But I'm saying that Rav Hirsch presents the svara, the logic, going the other way around. I would have assumed in its mother's milk, there's more reason to allow it because it's all one entity. Okay,
And
but
Alan's saying that at that point your analogy breaks down because with intimacies, we are allowed to go outside and marry the stranger, but we're not allowed to go out and use the other milk.
right, and that's how we understand it now.
Right.
Right.
But that's why he's saying it's not quite
Fair enough.
apples to apples.
Fair enough. Okay, let's see Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer, have both Hebrew and English. Nemar lo tochlu kol nevela. It says, don't eat any nevela, an improperly slaughtered animal. And it says, lo tavashel gedi b'chalev imo. Don't cook the gedi, the baby animal, in the milk of its mother. Et she'asur mishum nevela, that which is prohibited because of nevela, asur levashel b'chalav, that which will have the impurity of a carcass, which is an animal, that you're not allowed to cook with chalav. Oath, but a bird. She'asur mishum nevela, yochli asur levashel b'chalav. I might think a bird which does have impurity when it's not properly shechted, I might think that cannot be cooked with chalav. Tamaloma, the pasuk says, b'chalev imo, in the milk of its mother. Yatsa oath. So the Torah is excluding from the Torah prohibition oath, she'ein lo chalev ein, which does not have the milk of the mother. Let's see the Gemara on this, which is right underneath over here. Rabbi Yossi Aglili having both the Hebrew and English. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer, Nemar lo tochlu ma yikaben Rabbi Yossi Aglili Rabbi Akiva. On what point do they differ? Do Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Akiva differ? Ikaben ayuchaya. One difference is when it comes to a beast. Rabbi Yossi Aglili savar chaya doraita. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says that the deer is a Torah prohibition. Rabbi Akiva says no, the deer is a rabbinic prohibition. Ibayis aim alternatively oath. Ikaben. They're arguing about fowl. Rabbi Akiva savar chaya v'of einam in a Torah. Hamid Rabbanan Asiri. Rabbi Akiva says they're not Torah, but they are rabbinic. Oath and a beast and fowl is a rabbinic prohibition. Rabbi Yossi Aglili savar oath afil Rabbanan nami lo asir. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says no. He says it's perfectly allowed to have chicken and milk. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says the prohibition the rabbis did not. Well, he's one of the rabbis. Right, it's not rabbinically extended to fowl. Tanya nami hachi, and we learn the same thing in a Braita. What happened? Bimkom Rabbi Elazar hayu kortin eitzim lasod pichamim lasod barzel. Bimkom Rabbi Yossi Aglili, here we go in Rabbi Yossi Aglili's area. Hayu ochlin basar of bichalav. When where he was in his town, right? They followed his ruling, his approach,
Shagets.
and they would have basar of fowl and chalav. Levi visited Lebei, the house of Yosef Rishba, the house of Yosef, who was a bird trapper. Aitulakamei Reisha ditiyusa b'chalva, and he brought a peacock's head cooked in milk. That was the meal. V'lo amar lahu v'lo midi, and Levi did not say anything at all. Kiat l'kami to Rav Ami, when he came before l'kami to Rabbi, he came before Rabbi. Amalei amaylo tashmitinu. Why didn't you put him in excommunication for going against the consensus ruling that rabbinically we prohibit that? Amalei, he said, Atrei Rabbi Yehuda b'Beteirahu. That was in the area that was under the jurisdiction, the Moed Atrei Rabbi Yehuda b'Beteira. Va'amina, and I thought to myself, Darash Lahuk Rabbi Yossi Aglili. He held like Rabbi Yossi Aglili. The Amar who says, Yatsa of she'ein lo chalav ein. That a bird is excluded and is not even included in the rabbinic injunction.
Can you back up? Because I'm a little confused on the nevela. even before the cooking, since it was it ended up being nevela, whatever they did wrong, you couldn't eat it anyway, right?
Yes, yes, but we're drawing a parallel. That which the laws of nevela apply, then when it's shechted properly, the laws of basar b'chalav
Okay,
will apply.
okay.
Yeah.
But the way they're saying you could cook, the example of cooking, but so you really couldn't cook to eat.
A nevela, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
okay.
But that would not actually, yes, actually, correct, absolutely not. So we see in the time of the Gemara, there was Rabbi Akiva's opinion, Rabbi Yossi Aglili's opinion. Rabbi Yossi Aglili did as he held, Rabbi Akiva did as he held, and there were, it seems Rabbi Akiva is more of the consensus, but there were pockets. Notice by the fact that he said, why didn't you excommunicate him? It wasn't, oh, that's Rabbi Yossi Aglili town. It was clear that there were pockets of Rabbi Yossi Aglili's approach, but the consensus amongst Klal Yisrael was Rabbi Akiva. Now, when we come to the halacha is extracted from the Gemara, and the halacha is extracted, and we have certain gedarim, certain rules, certain pathways, roadmaps of psak, of ruling halacha. Certainly one of the major approaches is yachid v'rabim halacha k'rabim. When there's a lone dissenting opinion, there's a yachid, an individual, and there is a rabim, there is a consensus opinion, the halacha goes like the rabim. Let's take a look at the Rambam for a minute to try to understand, though, perhaps, why it was extended to milkless birds. The Rambam, in the laws of Machalot Asurot, and of course the Shulchan Aruch is very clear, right, about the prohibition extending also, it's explicit, prohibition extending also to fowl. The Rambam says, V'chein basar chaya, and so too the meat of chaya, a beast, non-domesticated animal, va'ov, and fowl. Bein b'chalav chaya, whether it's in the milk of a non-domesticated animal, bein b'chalav behema, or in the milk of a domesticated animal, eino asur ba'achila min haTorah. It's not prohibited based on Torah law. Lefikach, therefore, mutar lebashlo. If I'm in culinary school and they want me to cook a chicken parmesan, I'm allowed to cook a chicken parmesan. Because remember, right, the prohibition of cooking is only, right, everything is only on the real basar. When it comes to eating, we extended it. When it comes to cooking, the rabbis did not extend it. Also, when it comes to not getting benefit from it, it's only the Torah level ones that we extend the prohibition and say you can't get hana. When it comes to, but those that are rabbinic, when it comes to eating, one is allowed to cook, one is allowed to get hana. So if that's the case, so if we don't extend it to others when it comes to cooking, and we don't extend it to fowl when it comes to getting benefit, why do we extend it to others to fowl when it comes to eating? And the Rambam continues and says, V'asur b'achila, the third paragraph there, and it's asur to eat, it's prohibited to eat, midivrei sofrim, rabbinically, kedei shelo yifshu ha'am, v'yavo lidei isur basar b'chalav shel Torah, v'yochlu basar behema Torah, b'chalav behema Torah. Right? Because there is a concern that a person will become negligent and either get used to eating his chicken parmesan or his venison parmesan, and then will want to have a all-American cheeseburger, even without the bacon, but have his cheeseburger. I just wanted to point out one thing. So basically what we have over here is a rabbinic safeguard. They didn't feel the need to extend it to cooking.
Why?
They didn't feel the need to extend it to, I guess when you're cooking something, you're more aware of what you're cooking than when you're eating. When I'm doing the cooking, then I'm involved in the process.
I'm not following. So
Yeah,
they
I
didn't
don't
extend
know.
it to cooking?
You're
pretty,
allowed to
I'm pretty
cook.
involved in the process
Right,
when
right.
I'm eating.
Oh, so like the culinary
Well, yes,
school,
no,
the
let's
culinary
see in a
school
second.
people, you're saying.
I'm sorry?
Like the culinary school people, you were saying.
Or, yeah, a person would be allowed, if I'm working in a
Restaurant.
chicken joint, chicken chow?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, right? They don't serve any meat there, right? They serve any meat in Chick-fil-A?
No, they
Just chicken.
use chicken.
Okay, that's for example. I can't get a job in McDonald's making cheeseburgers. I'm just not qualified enough. No, but I wouldn't be allowed to get a job in McDonald's because I can't be cooking the milk and the meat. Actually over there it's not such a great example because it's not kosher meat. But okay, put that aside. But in Chick-fil-A, even if I'm cooking the chicken together, I can get a job in Chick-fil-A cooking together the chicken and the meat. Not eating, of course, but cooking it. When it comes to the prohibition of cooking and getting benefit, we don't extend it to chicken and to deer. When it comes to eating, we do. Alan asked why. So I said, perhaps there is a difference. When I'm cooking, I know, I'm involved in the process, I know what I'm cooking. Eating, sometimes I wasn't.